Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Wrestling is Cool podcast, the coolest podcast on the planet. I'm Santi, that's Sancho. There's not a heck of a whole lot this week. This was a slower week of professional wrestling, but we're still here to entertain you for the next couple of hours. Sancho, not a lot going on in wrestling, but what's kind of your temperature check with the world of wrestling at the moment?
I feel like we're in a chill period. One thing I want to point out, the people of the Wrestling is Cool podcast been saying like, wow, I'm so happy that Wrestling is Cool has a 2-hour show longer than Raw. Don't make us go up against Raw. All right. we're undermatched against Raw. But everyone's like, I appreciate the support though. They've been enjoying the 2-hour shows and that we make the 2 hours go by.
Yeah, that's about as good as we can do, right? I've heard of people being like, yeah, I put on the video version while driving. Don't do that. Yeah,
don't do that.
There's an audio version in all of the audio podcast services around the globe. But yeah, if you'd like the video, you can watch it on YouTube, or you could get it 3 days early over on patreon.com/SantiZap, where 100% of our patrons are safe drivers that do not watch the video while they drive. Otherwise, you're a loser. This is what you are.
Wow, why are you married? There has to be a section of it. But one thing I got to say, I agree. It's kind of a strange period of wrestling, because everyone was out overseas. So we got a pre-tape Raw, which is strange. And I just think this is what the crown jewel season is.
100%.
It's a strange part of the season. It's not yet fall. It's after summer. It's that. You ever heard of a false fall? You ever heard of that term before?
Yeah, it's faux fall. Sorry, I use the beautiful Canadian version. Faux fall is what it's called. It's like a faux spring. F-A-U-X, faux.
That's what you have a problem with false fall.
No, because the proper term is a faux fall. It's a faux fall. It's not faux. It's not. Don't give me that
That's
accent.
What you are.
No, that's not what I said at all.
It is a wee. That's you.
Dude, moving on. So there's a false fall.
Oh, I hit a button here. I love it. I want to double down on this button. Yes, this is the false fall of the WWE, where it's just a strange period where they want us to believe into this crown jewel. They want us to buy into this crown jewel. They think the season, the weather's going to change. By the end of the day, it's all the same. It's all the same.
Yes, I do agree. Like, I do believe that you hit it on the head when you said that this is a symptom of Crown Jewel, because the biggest feuds going into Crown Jewel, technically, on paper, it's very possible that they technically on paper will not have long-term ramifications, which means that they're building up to a one-off. And when you build up to a one-off, it's just nowhere near as exciting as if you're building for this long-term storytelling. So I will say this, okay, Sancho, the women's side of the Crown Jewel 50-carat diamond championship, the women's side of that is actually doing a much better job at incorporating long-term booking with this one-off booking. Because we have obviously what's going on with Liv Morgan and Nia Jax, and they've already crossed shows to invade one another, but all at the same time, keeping Rhea Ripley part of the story and keeping her part of the narrative. So it allows this storyline to build up to this one-off exhibition match while still keeping Rhea Ripley front and center, so that when the dust settles at the end of Crown Jewel, it'll be a quick, natural transition right back into the feud with Rhea Ripley for Liv Morgan. The men, on the other hand, I don't believe are doing that. I'm excited for the prospect of the in-ring match between Cody Rhodes and Gunther. I don't think there's any disagreement that could be a match of the freaking decade contender. But I feel like they've done a far...
Good Lord.
We're only 4 years into the decade. We're only 4 years in.
All right.
I just feel like they've done a far less good of a job in the build up to that particular match as opposed to the women. But I feel like that match could, when it happens, have major long-term storytelling ramifications if Kevin Owens gets involved, if Randy Orton gets involved, etc., etc. But because they're building to this one-off, it does feel like WWE narrative is in triple threat stance, right? Like they're just sort of holding on until we can build towards Survivor Series and Raw going to Netflix.
Do you think that the reason why the women's side is better off is because the men's side is just clouded with so many layers of different stories? For example, Cody has The Rock, he has Roman above that. Gunther does have more feuds in the future. So it feels like there's more places to go for the men's side, where on the women's side, this is it. This is the top of the women's division, all fighting for this belt. When I was watching that Monday Night Raw where you had the SmackDown pseudo invasion, I was like, a majority of the women's roster is here. And then on SmackDown, when Raw came over, a majority of the women's roster was there with Naomi and Bayley as part of that mix. So that's why I feel like on the men's side, it's such a strange thing, because Cody's feuds, they are like this, dude. This is not different from any other Cody feud that we had that's beyond Roman. Like when he goes against AJ Styles, like, all right, I guess it's gonna be a cool fight. When he gets Kevin Owens, like, all right, I guess it's gonna be a cool fight. And the same thing with Gunther. So the only difference is like there's not a lot of bite to this Gunther and Cody feud. Like they're trying to find something. And when Gunther goes, Cody, you are a people pleaser, Cody. And I'm like, all right, I guess. I'm like, all right.
Like Gunther's been on a roll with his zingers. And this was a miss when he tried to call him the secondary champions. Like, remember when he called Randy Orton an underachiever, and we're like, okay, all right, what are you talking about, bud? What are you doing? Okay, so here's my perspective on why I think that the women's side is more interesting going into Crown Jewel. You can be goofier with the women's side because neither of the champions are very well protected. Liv Morgan has taken back-to-back PLE losses. Hasn't lost a title, but back-to-back PLE losses. Nia Jax has been pinned on SmackDown twice in the last month, which I think just allows the WWE to just let this feud be this like goofy mess that they can involve a bunch of people in, because no one champion needs to come out looking strong. If either of them come out looking weak, it's just par for the course, because they have already been looking kind of weak in the process. Meanwhile, Cody and Gunther, they're both the Hulk at the moment going into this show. Sancho, why is wrestling cool?
Yes, thank you. Do you believe, though, another layer of this entire thing is the Money in the Bank? 100%. Remember, the men's Money in the Bank, no longer part of the picture. Burned that day one, Santi.
Look, people are like, look, it was such a good idea to build up to to Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. And I just kept telling you, I was like, cool, you made you gave heat to a feud that was already a freaking inferno. I firmly believe that we could have still gotten to where we were, that amazing Hell in a Cell match, without burning the Money in the Bank briefcase. Imagine, oh my goodness, the prospect of having a men's Money in the Bank briefcase going into Crown Jewel when both champions are vulnerable at the same time. And they're doing it for the women right now. And I not only am I interested in the prospect, I want a cash in at Crown Jewel, because Sancho, we, in the past 18 years that Money in the Bank has been around, actually, it's coming up on 20. The past nearly 20 years, it was introduced in 2005. The last 20 years of Money in the Bank, I feel like we have seen it all. Cashing in when both champions are in the ring at the same time and making a triple threat out of it, never seen that. This is our opportunity in the 20 years of Money in the Bank to finally check off something new, something that hasn't been done before. And Tiffany Stratton is on the precipice of being able to do that. Whether she cashes in and it becomes for both titles, I don't want that. I think it would make the most sense and the most dramatic sense for her to cash in, and whoever gets pinned loses their championship. That's how it should be.
Wow. Well, the one thing I would say that's really exciting is that Tiffy is that wild card, and she's an up-and-coming prospect as well. She's still green on the roster, the main roster. But imagine, I'm trying to think, who was on the men's side that could be that third wheel to the crown jewel, who could have that potential cash-in. We had LA Knight, it would be an interesting choice for LA Knight. We had Santos, right? In that men's. Who else did we had in that?
Jey Uso.
Jey Uso would have been an interesting pick. Jey Uso would have been a fantastic pick
It would
to
have
have the
been
Money in the Bank
fascinating.
and the crown jewel.
Yeah, it definitely would have been fascinating.
Drew McIntyre, even
Dude, Drew would have been awesome. It would have been
Right?
weird, admittedly, for him to be holding the briefcase alongside the CM Punk feud. It would have been weird. We
Yeah.
would have had Carmelo Hayes as a possibility, and Chad Gable and Andrade. Dude, whoever
Jay would have been the choice. Jay would have been.
Jay would have been the choice with this whole thing that's going on with the bloodline. It would have been interesting for sure, and he's got history with Gunther as well.
Yep.
So it would have been a fun wrinkle to have that, and we were robbed of that. And I hope people are now seeing that the short gratification, which is weirdly not something Triple H typically does, in that moment with CM Punk costing Drew McIntyre was not worth it. Burning the Money in the Bank briefcase within an hour of it existing in the universe was a bad idea, because the briefcase right now is so fascinating on the women's side. It's so fascinating, because very rarely do we have this moment in the last several years of Money in the Bank holders where it seems like both champions are at risk. This is because of the of what Crown Jewel is. We are in that unique situation, and I'm excited for it, and it creates for good storytelling. And the other thing too, Sancho, it makes it so that this Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley feud comes out of this void, out of this vacuum where no one else can be involved and no one else matters. Now, all of a sudden, this big feud between Liv and Rhea is now being used to elevate the entirety of the women's division, which is exactly what you want out of a marquee feud like that. If you keep it in a vacuum for too long, people do generally start to lose interest. And I am seeing that, not with myself personally, but with a lot of people that are like, hey, I'm done with this feud. I'm like, I'm not. There's still a lot of legs. But this, to me, adds so much life to it.
So many people were saying, Sancho, you're wrong that this feud cannot last to Mania. It sure can now. It definitely has to gas to last Mania when you add, what'd you call Raquel? What's your new term? Oh, God.
Raquel.
Are you gonna make this a thing?
It's
Santi,
a thing, Raquel.
you do influence a lot of the wrestling community. You have a lot of memes out there. I cannot stop going, wah, 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 because of you. And now you're trying to make Raquel stick.
Yeah, people are like, stop trying to make Raquel a thing. I'm like, it's going to be a thing, bro. Raquel, it's going to be a thing.
Very fetch of you. Very fetch of you. Do you know what happens on Wednesdays? What color do we wear on Wednesday, sir?
We wear pink over on the Patreon, patreon.com/Santis.
That's why you and me, we're together. I agree. All this feud does, it does make all the boats rise, and that's what's very important for the title and the Money in the Bank. Just to go back to it, the men's Money in the Bank, if you would have had Jey Uso, then you add another layer of Cody Rhodes. Would he ever cash on Cody Rhodes? Would Jey Uso help out the Bloodline to bring the belt back by cashing in on Cody Rhodes? It's another avenue. Because I start to think, what's the best way to get the belt off of Cody without hurting Cody? And it's the Money in the Bank. It's always been the Money in the Bank. It's a great way to get the belt off somebody that has gone through a war, who's very weak and is vulnerable at that same moment. And they could always take it off the belt without hurting their current champion. Because at the end of the day, when Cody does lose the belt, he's going to be immediately judged and kind of put up against Roman Reigns' title. It is what it is. The only way that you would not have that issue is if Cody gets screwed out of the belt, a la Bret Hart or things of that nature. Because regardless, people are already hating on Cody no matter what. But now that he's going up against Gunther, I'm not quite sure that hate's still there for Gunther versus Cody. Like I don't hear a lot of people like this feud doesn't mean anything because it's a crown jewel type feud. We have all accepted that it is like a scheduled fight. It's like, oh, I got to go into work today and fight Gunther. All right, let's make it happen. Let's do it. It's going to be entertaining. Is it going to have a lot of legs posts like the women's side? I don't think so, unless screwy things happen. And the key thing as well, Santi, that I've been holding on to this phrase for such a long time is that Triple H said it's going to be a clean result. It's going to be a clean fight between champion versus champion on men's and women's side. And I can't buy that coming from Triple H.
I don't buy it either. I mean, just like logically, on the women's side, I could see it because neither champion is particularly super protected. But with everything that's going on with Tiffany and Rhea, I see them getting involved in this match. Yeah. On the men's side, there's like no way. it's impossible to process the idea of it finishing clean, because by proxy, you will make one of these guys that has this aura of being a top unstoppable champion all of a sudden stoppable, which I think is so damaging to both Cody Rhodes and to Gunther, especially Gunther and early on in his reign. I don't see how you get away from this match once the smoke settles without there being chicanery.
The only way you could is if you make Gunther too boastful, too prideful, too hubris, too flying, like he did in Mania, where he was taunting Sammy's wife at ringside. It was the only reason he lost at that Mania for the IC title. That's the only thing. Or you get just look at the outside characters in this feud: Randy, KO, Ludwig. There's so many, the Bloodline, so many factors that could just ruin this clean crown jewel. And it's in Saudi Arabia. Who knows? The Rock could show up, for crying out loud, because the Saudis want The Rock.
Look, I've been saying that this has been a couple of steps back for those Saudi shows, where they went from being like must-watch needle movers and storylines to this feeling like a glorified exhibition, a big WrestleMania size house show is what I've been calling it. But this is still the Triple H era of WWE, so I'm still more optimistic than I am pessimistic. You know, like if we were in 2019 and they did this, I'd be like, you could miss this show, fellas. You can just watch the YouTube recaps if you really want to. But in today's day and age, I will say, even though I'm disappointed with the creative decision to go with a champion versus champion ecosystem for this PLE, Triple H has earned my attention at the very minimum. He's earned the ability for me to say, okay, let me see what you've cooked up. I didn't love the menu that you provided, Chef Triple H, but I'm still going to dine in and see what you've got. And I feel like that should be the general consensus of wrestling fans. You know, I know people were a little bit down on Bad Blood. Again, I keep telling people, compare Bad Blood to most shows, like 99% of the shows from the 2010s, and it'll come out looking like it's the best show of the decade. All right. Bad Blood maybe wasn't amazing compared to the year of catalog that Triple H has put together. And I'm with people when it comes to that sentiment. So when it comes to Crown Jewel, even though I'm disappointed, I still have a lot of optimism regarding Triple H and this current era of WWE premium live events. The only thing I'm concerned about is that it just seems, Sancho, it seems at the very least from the outside looking in, that there's a lot of Saudi influence here. And when there's a lot of Saudi influence in terms of the booking, again, I don't know if that's the case. I'm just saying from the outside looking in, it seems like there's a lot more Saudi influence on this show than in the last couple of Saudi shows. That makes me nervous. I do find that the fallout is interesting. I think the road that we're getting to Saudi is pretty fun. I think these past Monday and SmackDown, seeing these crossovers, not only puts one in the chamber for me that the brand split should stop, because it is quite interesting with the time limits that both Raw and SmackDown has, especially Raw. I think we've gotten a great kind of two-part episode of Liv Morgan, Raquel, Rhea, and Tiffany, and Nia. Like, those two episodes back to back, or the three episodes you want to say, was really well done. And considering that one of them was pre-taped, I thought it was a fantastic way. It was so interesting to see her from a viewer's perspective that was at the show in St. Louis, because they were like, yeah, we had no idea why this was happening in the ring, but we were all for it, because it was like they didn't have the backstory to why these women were fighting. And all of a sudden you had, you know, Rhea showing up and Tiffany showing up on the variety of shows. So and what I have to give Triple H credit for is that at least when he's putting the show together, even though the destinations may have something that we don't want, he's going to make it interesting along the way. And that's what I'm looking forward to, at least on SmackDown. I cannot wait to see what happens with this KO thing, because KO unhinged in Kevin Owens in this kind of aspect is very interesting to watch. There's nothing like a KO crash out in my mind. And this crash out's working for me, man. It's working for me. I love the fact that WWE is doing their best to make this feel like a real human resources problem. You know, like KO needing to invade the show in order to get his word out. them refusing to even really talk or acknowledge about the fight that happened. Yes, Sancho.
No, I was going to acknowledge.
Oh, you're just acknowledging. Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
So quickly though, isn't this a kind of storyline from NXT?
They've done it, I feel like, a couple of times. There was a guy named Brooks Jensen on NXT, that kept invading NXT to try and get a word in, grabbing the commentator's headset to try and say anything about like why he was suspended, how things weren't fair, how he was being mistreated by Shawn Michaels, only for commentary to not acknowledge it whatsoever, for them to never put the camera on him. You only ever saw him like invade in the background, and then they would like zoom in the camera away from the action of what was happening with Brooks Jensen. And so what you would get are these social media posts, not even from NXT, from fans that were in the NXT arena posting the invasion of Brooks Jensen. So that's a good call out, Sancho, because I do think that might have been the prototype for what we're seeing here with Kevin Owens. Obviously, this is by the time it got to SmackDown, the attention was on Kevin Owens and whatnot. But the initial heel turn off of traditionally produced WWE TV, it certainly was influenced by what happened in NXT with Brooks Jensen, and definitely piloted there, I would say.
I wonder where does this lead to in terms of how does Kevin Owens escalate this? I mean, I find it did suck that he interfered or kind of disrupted the whole main roster debut of the meta, right? That was kind of a bummer thing that he did that. But I think he could keep going. I feel like he's going to disrupt everything as much as possible. It'd be cool if he went into the production truck or he went straight to the gorilla to talk to Triple H. Now that would be interesting.
Yeah, no, I want to see where this goes, because Kevin Owens, on paper at the very least, should be suspended for multiple weeks for what he's been doing. And I want to continue to see these Kevin Owens-esque invasions, like you said, whether it's production in the back, maybe he's outside of the building and he's posting on social media. Again, these things, I would love to see more non-WWE produced content being made viral organically by fans. I think it's just so brilliant that they're doing that. But more than anything,
at the airport. At the airport, trying to get the crown jewel, right?
Oh my goodness, yeah, trying to get Triple H's attention at security or something or anything. I think that would be cool. I like the path of the storyline, though. I think it's definitely setting up, in my opinion, Kevin Owens to be the fall guy here, for Randy Orton to emerge as the true villain, right? To my Naruto nerds, all right, this is gonna go over your head, Sancho, unless you've watched Naruto. Think of KO. Oh, there he's gone. Think of Obito Uchiha is Kevin Owens, and Madara Uchiha is Randy Orton. That's what's going to happen here. I am done with the Naruto references. If Sancho would like to come back to this episode at any moment. I don't know. I legitimately don't know where he went. I don't know if he left because the internet is bad or because he hates Naruto. Well, I told him to return, but I love the concept of making Kevin Owens be the one that's toppling all of the Jenga blocks, while the while in the background there's a bigger looming force that is pulling the strings, that is allowing things to play out the way that they're playing out, so that Randy Orton can emerge from the ashes and be the guy that finally stabs Cody Rhodes in the back. Because when I look at the story that's going on here, I just don't see how Kevin Owens can be upset about what's going on with Cody Rhodes in the Bloodline, because I feel like he's in the right. This is a guy that gave his everything to Cody Rhodes to help him overcome the Bloodline, a group that's made Kevin Owens' life an absolute living hell over the last couple of years. I would say damn near 5 years, only for what? Cody to high five and kumbaya my lord his way down the merry road of bad blood, teaming up with Roman Reigns. That's not cool. I feel like it's a justified heel turn. And I feel like it goes equally for Randy Orton. Randy Orton has been just as harassed and destroyed by the Bloodline. Let's not forget that in storyline, it was the Bloodline that took out Randy Orton for over a year. You know, it like robbed Randy Orton of so long of his career that you got to imagine a guy whose entire moniker is the Viper, the guy that's lying in wait, waiting for the right moment to strike, slithering through the grass, is going to strike at any moment. That's you have to imagine that Randy Orton is playing a major role here. We still don't have Sancho. I'm trying to get through this episode as much as I can. He's just entirely offline, so he must be having some technical issues here. But overall, to me, the Kevin Owens story arc, I think, is just overall a brilliant way to blur the lines between what's real and what's not, and what isn't real. And we're back.
Where's that referee, man? Oh, God. Life is strange, Santi. But I'm back. I am unwatchable. And according to Discord, I am deactivated. But I'm back, baby. You can't suspend this. That's right.
24 hours. That cut that you saw just happen, it's been a whole day. And in that day, we've had developments on the Kevin Owens storyline, and I got to watch NXT. So we actually have more to even talk about because you were banned. You got from Discord.
Unwatchable. And I love that your immediate tweet to the entire thing was that I was pushing New Day propaganda, and that's why I was banned. I hate you. You're clever beast. You're a clever beast.
Even Discord's like, it's a different trade.
Eat this. And we were cooking, but I'm glad that it kind of happened because we predicted.
I'm so behind. My whole week is messed up because of you, Sancho. My whole week. All right, so go on. Why was it a blessing in disguise?
The blessing in disguise is we predicted yesterday that Kevin Owens was going to do the route of the NXT, where he's going to post on social media about his ban. And it happened, brother.
Mm-hmm. They're going with the Brooks Jensen route for sure. And expect Kevin Owens to be invading Friday Night SmackDown for the next several weeks. And the more that I think about it, it's kind of brilliant because it's a good way to keep Kevin Owens separate from Cody Rhodes' current buildup to a PLE that doesn't involve Kevin Owens technically, but it keeps Kevin Owens in the conversation so that once Kevin Owens gets actually reinserted into a feud with Cody Rhodes, it's a natural restart point. Kind of like what they're doing with Rhea Ripley, actually, where she's involved, but not actually directly part of the buildup to the match. It's smart.
Question. Do you think that they're going to put this contract situation that Kevin Owens is in as part of it, like they did with CM Punk? Like, he hasn't resigned yet, and then they have that kind of free agency vibe into the story that could add that little curveball to it?
If they're smart, they should. It's a story that as old as time itself at this point, like the person on their way out. I mean, it worked in the Attitude Era. It worked in the Summer of Punk. It would absolutely work here again. I would love to see it. We've talked before about how the WWE is really good at digging into their old bag of tricks and finding an old dusty type of storyline, shining it up real nice, turning that bitch sideways, and then shoving it up our candy asses, and we love it. All right, that's how the WWE operates, because you can't come up with brand new, fresh storylines and story beats when you've been around for 70 years. Sometimes you got to take what's worked in the past and redefine it in a more modern context. And if they were to do that with Kevin Owens in an expiring contract storyline, I'm here for it.
Imagine that. He's like, of course, pseudo signed, like he's been signed the whole time, but he's acting like he hasn't been signed, and he could do whatever he wants, and who's going to stop him? Very interesting. And it's a great kind of villain to Cody, who's the ultimate hero, and he's the company man to go up against someone who's an outsider. We're cooking here, son. 24 hours later, it's like it's like a stew that's been in the refrigerator, and now we're cooking it. It's marinated,
Okay, what's a food better?
Yes.
24 hours later. What's a food better 24 hours later? Mine's a bit controversial. I do genuinely believe that pizza's better the next day.
No.
Yes, it
what
is.
Are you
Yes,
talking
it is.
about?
No,
Are
it
you talking about
is.
cold pizza? Are you talking about cold pizza?
I'm not saying eating the cold pizza. Like,
okay.
you still
Fair
reheat it, but for some reason, a reheated pizza hits better for me for some reason. I don't know if
Okay.
it's because it tastes like it's a bit more forbidden. Like, I'm not supposed to have
Ooh.
this. You know,
You and
this
this
was
forbidden
the
fruit.
forbidden fruit, the forbidden
Oh,
pizza.
God.
You know, and just the
Is the
juiciness
Dom?
of the cheese, feeling just like it's not supposed to be something I should be eating at 10 a.m. in the morning for breakfast.
Okay. Do you air fry it?
I've done it before. I've done it all kinds of ways. I've done air frying. I've done putting it in the oven. I've done microwave. And there's like a way to do it on a pan. Or were you aware of the pan style?
Yeah, you got to like put some like water on it to kind of then steam it a little bit.
That works well too. I like pizza the next day. Pizza the next day is real good.
I was gonna say turkey because that's like the Thanksgiving thing here. I know you in Canada, you guys had Thanksgiving this week, right? This past week.
Correct.
Do you acknowledge the turkey Thanksgiving in Canada?
So in Canada, we do. My family, as a cultural thing, we don't do Thanksgiving because Thanksgiving is definitely a North American thing, from what I've learned. Because I guess in the history of Latin America, there was never any thanking the colonists or thanking the natives.
No.
The conquistadors just sort of came in. they just sort of won.
You're not talking about the tag team, the conquistadors.
No. I'm talking about the heritage of like the Spanish conquistadors that I come from. They didn't thank anybody. They just took. So there's no Thanksgiving to be given in Latin America.
You know what? Shawn Michaels and NXT should be thanked for the fun that he had. You want to talk about NXT? A lot of people have been asking about NXT from us. We have a whole other things that we gotta like kind of reset here in our minds. We have a whole run and show that 24 hours later we have to get in the mindset. But warm us up with some NXT love.
NXT, Sancho. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Come closer.
I am ready.
Come closer.
Okay. All right. It's like that one TikToker. Okay.
Yeah. It's the best wrestling show on the planet again.
Wow.
It is so good. This is how you do a 2-hour show. Sancho, a 2-hour show that ends exactly on the hour mark, because on the CW, they're not able to go over like they used to be on USA. They used to have that extra 10-minute buffer. They have to end at the 59 second mark.
Ooh.
And they managed to do storylines, backstage segments, vignettes of upcoming wrestlers like Delta, and all in all, 6 matches with a match of the year triple threat contender at the end of the show. We know they can do it. We know they can put on a snappy 2-hour show. NXT is perfect at the moment. We had the debut of Stephanie Vaquer. Oh my God, bro. Look, I like Julia's debut. I know that you haven't been entirely sold on Julia yet. Stephanie's debut was, that I feel like it blew Julia's out of the water. This division is so good. Ren Sinclair, this rookie from NXT that's like learning still professional wrestling. If you watch a Ren Sinclair match from a year ago compared to what she did with Stephanie Vaquer, you would be in awe at the improvement. So we got to see a cool dichotomy there. We got to see what PWI Insider says the third best female wrestler on the planet right now in Stephanie Vaquer, who ranked number 3 in the PWI list, considered by many the greatest luchadora on the planet right now, with over a decade of experience, going up against a fresh out of water rookie Ren Sinclair that's demonstrated the power of the Performance Center and demonstrated how the WWE system are molding these blank slate of individuals like a Ren Sinclair. This is the NXT that is going to work for the long run, Sancho. The NXT that is balancing both. The NXT that is balancing the blank slates being molded by the Performance Center, and the NXT that is grabbing these international sensations to help have great matches with these Performance Center graduates, but also elevating the show in their own right.
I'm just hoping that the WWE, I don't know, man. I still think there's going to be a logjam of talent in NXT. I think that's like, if you're looking down the line, people are going to have to start moving up, man. How long can Perez stay in the NXT while you have Delta, the Vaquers, the Julias there, right? They need their time. How long can you keep Trick Williams there, who's considering a solid feud with All Ego? That's the questions that I have going forward. is, Tony D'Angelo, right, got the win over Omofemi. Where does Omofemi go? Does he stay, go after the NXT title? Is he ready for the main roster?
Yeah, man, you got people like Wesley that's like, you're done here. Like, what is there for you to do here? So I guess my question is, are you concerned about a logjam in NXT, or are you concerned about a logjam at the draft? When people start to get moved up, where does the logjam happen? Really, is what I'm asking. Is it on NXT TV or on the main roster? Where does the logjam take place?
I have no faith in NXT draft because what happened last year was atrocious, diabolical. How can you do that to Dijak? Call him up and not even have his call up on TV, have it done through a social media post. And not knowing what we know now, you could tell that the vibes from Dijak weren't like enthusiastic. I know he was a heel, but it didn't feel jovial to finally move up to the main roster, right? It felt kind of strange. And there wasn't that kind of edge to his post that he moved up. And it's a bummer. And then even the same thing with everybody else that got called up. It's just not the same. And I don't know. Do they have a traditional draft where they keep SmackDown and Raw the same and just draft from NXT? That'd be interesting. Like three picks a piece, because that's 6. That'd be 6 superstars, which I feel maybe could be too much. Maybe 4 picks total. So 4.
So here's the thing, man. Like the last draft, I felt like they took too much, and then yet here we are again with just so much talent in NXT. I said, bro, you took Carmelo, Tiffany, you took Ilya Dragunov, Dijak, Braun Breaker. I know Braun and Tiffy weren't in the draft; they were a little bit before, but like
4 people,
we include them. But like they basically took the main event scene. They took like the bulk of the main event scene.
Yeah, and Davenport and Kiana James,
Kiana James, which not all of them have worked, obviously. But I feel like NXT is future proofing itself a little bit more to be able to hold on to these talents longer, so that they aren't just being thrusted forcefully into the main roster simply because their time is up. And the way that they've been doing this has been by their development of the mid card. Especially on the women's side, because in the women's division, it was lower card, main event, main roster, or tag team. Yeah. Now we have the mid card. Now we have the North American title going on there as well. Yes, Sancho.
Yes. I'm sorry to interrupt. I've heard rumors that Nikkita Lyons is back.
You have heard those rumors correctly, sir. We like Nikkita Lyons around these parts here at the Casa de Santi. I have my reasons.
About Nikkita Lyons, though, It's interesting that her injuries have sidelined her for so many times. She did come out with like a wow finisher, but I noticed she didn't do that. She did the Hager bomb, the Hager bomb, instead. Yeah, she did the Hager bomb instead, which is probably safer for her because that split, whatever shoes you want to call it, probably would hurt her knees so much. And so she had to change the finish.
Yeah. So, that's another, like you said, that's another player that's just joining there. That's going to be a big player in that mid-card picture. You have Delta coming in. We have the injection of the main event scene of Stephanie and Julia. And who the heck knows who else is around the corner? Like WWE clearly now has a vision of what they want to do with NXT. And it's not just performance center athletes. And because this vision involves these international stars, indie superstars, it begs the question, like, what does NXT look like in, say, 3 years' time? Like, are they going to be bringing in people from AEW when they can? Are they going to be bringing in people from New Japan, more people from Stardom? Is that going to be the natural path again? Is it going to go back to the black and gold era of anyone that's not from the WWE system starts in NXT and moves their way up like Ethan Page is on his way of doing?
I think Sol Ruka should be called up soon. I like her vibe, dude.
Yeah, she's got a lot to do though. Still on the main roster, her vibe's cool. I think like she's going to be one of those that's going to be a big player on the main roster.
I feel like she's needed on the main roster. We need that fresh kind of vibe, a different kind of superstar, because we get a lot of the Joshi vibe, the Joshi style from, Io Sky and the kind of the Kairi Sane, like all that's kind of the same. Bayley, Naomi, different moveset, but they're kind of like the same. They kind of like the same vibe when you get from them. And then, of course, PFC, they're the same vibe. We don't have this bright kind of vibe that Sol Ruca has, and that finisher is amazing. It will bang anywhere when it comes down to when it hits, especially on the main roster. And it would be one of those ones where they could put her in those squash matches, and when she hits that finish, people were like, yes, this is awesome. Do it again.
There's a lot of gems in NXT. Sol Ruca is one of them. I think Kalani Jordan is going to be a big player for the WWE as well. On the men's side,
Tony? Well. I was gonna say, you think Tony could do? I don't know that gimmick though. That's a tough gimmick to get over.
I want it to work. I want it to work. It's a tough gimmick to get over. But if there's somebody that I have trust that can get it over, it's him, dude. Just his ability to do that Robert De Niro is so good. He can do it so well, man.
Am I doing? Huh?
For our audio listeners, Sancho's tempting his Robert De Niro face. Okay. This is great for the show, Sancho.
It is fantastic. No, that's one thing. That's a pretty tough gimmick. That's a pretty tough gimmick because it is very old school.
Chase
very
you.
90s.
Tough gimmick.
Chase you. Very gimmick. Tough. I did like the Spirit Squad. I know I wasn't part of the wrestling times of that when they first hit, but I was enjoying when I would see with them. And, and we saw him a lot in Match Club. We saw him once, but I think with NXT, the best part of it all, if you're an NXT fan, Santi, like you've been trumpeting this entire time, is that Vince McMahon is not the end of the rainbow. It is Triple H, who respects what they built and who would tinker and slightly tune, but he's not going to just overrun you completely. Like, think about poor Karrion Kross. I'm sorry. My man got dealt the roughest card when he came up to the main roster. Shaved head, chains across his chest, looking like Shao Kahn, dude. I'm sorry, dude. That is the worst deal that I have ever seen for a main. I mean, you could go T-Bar for sure with Dijak, but dude, that was rough for having your NXT champion who had a dominant run, a sick gimmick with Scarlett, right? With the time's up. To show up on the main roster with a Viking, with the gladiator helmet.
He became a leather daddy.
Oh, it was bad.
It was bad. And it doesn't end there, man. Like, there's so many examples of that. Like, they ruined Keith Lee, made him Bearcat Keith Lee, changed his attire. Great transition here. They turned the badass War Raiders into the Viking Experience, and then the Viking Express, and then the Viking Raiders. Like, what was wrong with the War Raiders? They're back to it after years, but it does feel a little bit too late, but I'm still glad that it's happening. But this is just the par for the course for those tragic NXT call-ups.
I'm so happy to see Ivar back. Oh, Ivar carried the mid-card for weeks. He was the Bronson Reed of his time, which is strange to say because they're basically of the time together, but anytime Ivar showed up, you're like, yeah, dude, but that new finisher they have,
so good. It is so good. Eric looks leaner. He just looks like a leaner, meaner version of himself. I was just pleasantly surprised. Look, in my reaction that I uploaded, I said, and I quote, I can't believe they're back this quick. And people are like, they've been out for like a year and a bit. I meant particularly Ivar. They made it sound like he was going to be out for like a year and a half because they were
8 months at least.
Yeah, they were talking about like some like spinal neck injury, like career ender. So to see him after like 4 months of being gone, like
before Mania, he was out before. Mania?
No. He was.
Was he around after Mania?
He was around after Mania, feuding with Obafemi after the triple threat.
Oh, you're right. Yeah,
they were trying to set that up.
The leather vests and the jeans.
He came out with a accountant dad moonlighting as a member of the Hells Angels. That's what he came out as.
The guy that has like a leather hobby. He makes his own leather wallet.
Yeah, he also, you know what he looks like? He looks like a guy that does his own little figurines. Like
Warhammer.
Yeah, he paints figurines. But like,
Starcraft.
You don't want to make fun of his figurines because he looks like he could eat you alive. He's that guy. He's that guy.
I'm hoping they have a solid run. I feel bad for American Alpha. Like
Alpha, the ones that lost.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, man. So what are you gonna like? It's a tough thing.
They missed the window. The window's closed.
The window's closed. But there is always, I guess, I kind of see wrestling feuds and things like that as energy. You cannot create it. You can't destroy it, right? Energy gets transferred somewhere else. And they are just the remnants of a good feud of Otis and Chad that did not materialize into anything. They didn't have any plans for them, and now they're just not jobbers. They're definitely loved, and they're definitely hugely over when they wrestle. I'm sure in the house shows they tear down the house with the Caterpillar and Maxine Dupree even there. But it's a bummer, dude. They're on the cusp of getting out of that comedic the comedic vibe that they had. They had a decent heel run, and then they were just tossed aside, brother. Tossed aside.
I'll keep saying it. Like there was a month and a half window to turn Otis into a player, into even if it was a short run as a player in potentially even the main event scene. He was so over every single week. The pops for Otis were the loudest of the entire night. And we're talking about a show that had Jey Uso. We're talking about a show that had El Campeon, Gunther. This guy was getting the biggest single pops of the night. Anytime that he would defy Chad Gable, the window was there. It was there. And it pains me because it's been multiple times that they've missed this window. They missed it with Otis. They missed it with Damian Sandow. They missed it with Matt Hardy a couple times.
I hate that I made the mistake of calling him American Alpha because you made that mistake and you call him American Alpha. It's Alpha Academy.
Wow.
Someone's in the comments.
With American Alpha, and it's actually Alpha Academy. You idiots! You guys are just a bunch of marks.
Can I make a confession?
Tell me.
I was this close of buying a Karrion Kross cutout. This close, but you know how much it costs?
I don't know. No.
$60 to buy it, and it was from the UK, so shipping alone would be $50 for a cardboard cutout of Karrion Kross.
And it would have been for one bit. Just for the single bit.
Great. Shout out to Karrion Kross though for following your boy. I will always celebrate that. Yeah. Now I gotta watch what I tweet though. I hate that, dude. I hate that when you get followed by somebody, you're like, I gotta be a little bit cooler. You know what I mean? A little bit cooler. I can't come off too dorky. You know, I don't want them to be because the algorithm's gonna feed them my tweets for a little bit.
That's
right?
true. That is true.
Always works.
Let's talk a little bit about what's going on with Jimmy coming back, trying to recruit the bloodline, re-recruit Jey Uso back into the bloodline. We've seen a couple of story beats play out with Jimmy telling Roman, we need him. Roman saying, no yeet. And then by the end of the show, Jimmy saying, like, we need him. And Roman kind of looking like, okay, go get him. And then Jey just being completely dismissive. I want to get your thoughts on that particular storyline that's going on, because this is clearly going to be something that builds up for the next couple of months.
It's going to be a great build-up, man. There's nothing like... I feel that the bloodline is at its best when they have those three working together alongside with Sammy, because they get some real emotion out of them. Like, there's some genuine pain between all those three, or the suffering that were, the work or the grind that they went through together to be superstars, to be holding this prestige of carrying the torch for the family, right? That's huge for the bloodline. And the Thunderdome stuff is just a taste, a sampling of how emotional can be. The stuff between Jimmy and Roman, we keep talking about it over and over again. It's very cinematic, but now we're going to see it again, and we're going to see it in front of a crowd, bro. The Thunderdome stuff was in front of screens. We're going to see Roman and Jey put their hearts out in the ring and just get very, very emotional, get very vulnerable. And I love it. I cannot wait, because it's going to take Roman to ask for Jey. It can't take Jimmy. Jimmy is just the guy. It maybe can't even take Paul. I mean, it'd be interesting if Paul goes up, because that would be a lame reveal in terms of like not giving Paul his big pop in arena, but it'd be interesting to see Paul backstage trying to get Jey. Yes, Santi of the wrestling school.
Would you like to see Jey versus Roman running it back? Because it was Jey versus Roman, where at the end, Roman got submission out of the Usos to form the bloodline. Do we do a play on that storyline again, but as opposed to submission, it's agreement that we're all going to come together to get this done? And maybe even Jey wins?
See, that's a kicker, dude. That's the dangerous part, because I loved Solo versus Jimmy. I thought they pulled the trigger on that too early. I would have loved to see Jimmy go through the Tongans first to get the Solo, but I understand we're on a time crunch because the Survivor Series is right around the corner. But Bloodline matches can go so wishy-washy. Either they're slow to start and you're waiting for the finish, because if it was Jey versus Roman, it's going to be very entertaining to see them go back and forth. We're all going to be waiting for that finish. It's going to be worth the pain of going through that 15 minutes of that slow burn, you know? I noticed it because every time when I'm doing a watch party, and I'm sure maybe you could attest, and if you're watching right now in the comments, you could probably think like, dude, Bloodline matches are not for everybody.
No, they're not.
They are slow. There's no big moves. There's not any kind of car crashes. There's not a big spot. It's just haymaker after a haymaker, rest holds if there is any, slowly sauntering around the ring,
My arms
playing
are
to the crowd. My arms are big. I'm playing to the crowd. Lots of that, and the crowd gets into it. So the crowd is a character in these matches. So about like the 18-minute mark of the match, we finally start moving and getting into the finish, getting into the angle. And then that's when things gets ratcheting up, and that's when you start paying attention the most, because the most catastrophic thing's going to happen, and it'll blow your mind. And that's why I've been enjoying the entire Bloodline saga. But what I'm looking forward to is the most as well is the backstage segments. I think Jey's at his best when he's dealing with Roman. Jey's not at his best when he's being the ultimate babyface yeeter of worlds.
Yeah. So where is the moment where the Bloodline comes together? Like, I guess what I'm asking is, what's the catalyst, right? Like a lot of people are like, well, it's going to be this Intercontinental Championship match that we have. Jimmy's going to help Jey retain. And here's the thing. If I'm writing this, and I'm a terrible writer, so it might end up being terrible, I would have Jimmy help Jey retain. And Jimmy thinking that this is what's going to get them back together, only for Jey to be angry. Like, this is a different Jey Uso. This is a Jey Uso that's standing on his own 2 feet. This is a Jey Uso that won gold without the bloodline. He doesn't want the help of the bloodline. He doesn't want the help of his family, considering the story beats of Braun Breaker have been saying that you've been sucking off your family name for the past 20 years. Hey, those were Braun Breaker's words, not mine. So it would be kind of poetic if the bloodline helps him retain, only for Jey to actually distance himself even more from the bloodline because of it, because Jimmy now has to realize that this is a different Jimmy that I'm dealing with. This isn't
different Jey.
Different Jey. Like, this isn't the ones anymore. Like, he's his own person now, and I have to find a way to get through to him without trying to use old tactics.
He's grown now. He's a grown man. It kind of reminds me of New Day, when New Day was like, we can't be these jokesters anymore. We need to be a little bit more serious, be locked in. We're different now. So that's interesting, but it's going to be Roman that brings them back. You asked me what's going to be the catalyst to bring them all together. It's Roman. Roman has to reach out to Jey. They could do it where Jey comes in for the save, but I don't think that's the way, right? That's the route. It's going to be Roman and Jimmy just getting obliterated by the bloodline again. And then Jey finally comes out. But I think we're going to have a lot of moments of Roman begging Jey to come back. And this is a different Roman Reigns, man. This is not the same tribal chief that just says, acknowledge me. I think I talked about this on the podcast earlier. Is like, I said this in the watch party. I said Roman Reigns before going up to WrestleMania was very self-conscious, nervous about being overshadowed by The Rock. He came out in Oklahoma Tulsa, and he was like, acknowledge me. And no one wanted to acknowledge him. The crowd didn't want to acknowledge him because they were waiting for The Rock. He was like, fine, I'm leaving. And Paul Heyman was like, no, you contractually, you have to stay here because we cannot leave. So Roman was a bit pouty. And then The Rock comes out and overshadowed him. And then Roman was like, dude, I need you to acknowledge me. If we're going to continue in this relationship, Rock, you need to acknowledge me. That's not this Roman anymore. Roman literally said on Monday Night Raw, acknowledge him. And I'm like, this is strange. This is weird. This is Roman that is very sympathetic, and he wants his family. He needs his family in his corner, and so that's why he was so happy that Jimmy called the play and that he was able to back him up. But I don't know what kind, because like you mentioned, it can't be the Roman that does it by force, that forges the bloodline together. It needs to be a different kind of Roman. He needs to be the wise man and use his words to get the job done.
Use your words, kids. That's what they always taught us. Use your words,
That's what
not your fists.
I tell my son, use your words, gentle hands, buddy. Gentle hands.
Isn't gentle hand? Okay, I was gonna say gentle hand is still like a martial arts thing.
No,
right?
no.
There's the gentle fist. The gentle fist. You got kids doing the gentle fists?
That's what I want my 2-year-old to do. Some gentle hand, some Wing Chun type of action, like Robert Downey Jr. and Sherlock Holmes,
like that EO Sky fist that she does into the air. That uppercut.
It's not the best. It's not the best of moves. Because I think anyone sells it that well.
No one sells. That's the problem. No one sells it well. We recently watched the match on the Patreon with her, and she does it to a Mayu Iwatani, and she sells it well. It's almost like, okay, maybe the Yoshi wrestling, that's a thing there. Like maybe that's a move there that they just know how to sell and make look good. Okay, so the Bloodline. We kind of have a feeling like obviously we know what the end goal is here. We need the reunion to happen. You know what I found weird on Friday Night SmackDown? There was
the A show. Yes,
there was just no mention of The Rock. Do you notice that? Like that's a huge character to come back into the story. Not Roman, not the Tongans, not Jacob, barely the commentary team, not Jimmy, not Roman. None of them said anything about the return of The Rock, to the point where it's like, if The Rock hadn't returned at Bad Blood, it actually wouldn't have changed anything in this episode in any capacity. So a little bit odd that the return of The Rock had no impact in the story at all as to how it played out on Friday night.
Could be the pre-tape thing, because remember it was Monday Night Raw.
That was not pre-taped.
No. I was saying like Monday Night Raw, pre-taped, the 2 episodes, SmackDown. They didn't want to cross wires because then you can't jump a storyline that hasn't happened in month. You know what I mean? Like there was probably all those things. I literally thought that the pre-tape was spoiled for me because I thought The Rock came out on Monday Night Raw at that pre-tape. So that was like, there's so many things that I think that the WWE was like, let's just get through this pre-tape. Make sure we don't mess up for any kind of things that we said, because I noticed a lot of the pre-tape things, you could hear Joe Tessitore was recording in a different room. Because it's like all of a sudden so canned. I was like, whoa, is he recording in his bathroom in the hotel room, this line? It felt so strange. So I'm thinking, I kind of agree with that The Rock is still posting about it in social media, that he's kind of back, and that there was rumors that he wasn't going to wrestle on WrestleMania 41. He was like, don't listen to that BS. So I don't know, man. We'll see. I think more than ever, The Rock operates in the shadows. Clearly he does, and he operates on social media. So pay attention to The Rock on social media more, because I think there's the bigger impact for the WWE than on weekly television.
I think this is going to be a story that plays out for a while. Do you think it's War Games? Is that where it goes? It's War Games? Okay.
It has to, because The Rock's done it all, and The Rock's wrestled so many different formats. And he's wrestled in gimmick matches. He's literally, did he wrestle on a bridge with Stone Cold? That they had a match out there?
That sounds familiar.
I feel that this would be a perfect kind of cool vehicle and a main attraction. I would buy so many tickets if I knew The Rock was coming into town to wrestle in a War Games match. Just to see The Rock in a cage, like a Brahma bull, waiting to get released into the stocks out there, running out there. Doesn't it? A little bit?
The Rock also debuted at Survivor Series, right? So there's a big, emotional tie for The Rock.
Rock might be a baby, the boss baby.
Speaking of babies, do you see Carlito and Raquel sitting in a tree? KISSING. First come love, then comes the marriage. I think that's how the song goes.
You're hitting one of these words way awkwardly too hard. All right.
Which word?
I don't want to go. Why are we doing this? Why are we having Carlito have puppy love for Raquel? And it's strange to me, because I'm a sucker for when it comes to theater, and I hate it because someone in Nathaniel in the chat goes, "Let's talk about other times when Sancho talks about acting." we always make fun of the wrestlers, how they watch TV, right? How they always like off the go, yeah. There you go. They're always doing that. So when Raquel gets introduced, she literally walks in front of everybody and just crosses her arms and looks back. I was like, no one does this. But it's it's played up because it's wrestling. And of course, Carlito drops his apple. By the way, did you notice that?
I did.
And he was like, I'm like, no.
Well, what else is Carlito doing?
He doesn't have to be a horn dog, brother. All right. He doesn't.
Maybe it's genuine love. Maybe
genuine love. It is the Okada story, brother. It's AEW Okada pining over Mercedes Moné, and it's happening in the WWE with Carlito and Raquel. That's what we're gonna get. It is Otis and what's her name? Rose. Mandy Rose all over again. Yeah, you're pretty quick with that, aren't you? There.
Of course I am. I'm not ashamed. You think you're laughing at me? You think this hurts my feelings? It's what it is, bro. Game is game.
I knew that because I didn't know you during that storyline. I'm sure you were like, it should have been me.
Are you asking me if I was like
that? Yeah. Were you like that?
No, come on, bro.
I'm not. Come on. Santi, look at me, Santi. I wish we had a lie detector. Big.
Would you ever do those? Put yourself in a voluntary lie detector? No, I wouldn't. Because if somebody asks me something that like, oh no, no.
Santi, do you oil up on your own time? I'm sure.
How did we get to this? What were we talking about?
We were talking about Raquel and Carlito.
Raquel and Carlito. Does this matter? Will it matter? Will this be the only thing that Carlito does? Is he just going to be Tormund Giantsbane going after Brienne the Beauty in Game of Thrones? Is this what we're going to be seeing?
It needs to be like Nacho Libre and the nun.
So is there a point like the Otis and Mandy Rose storyline where like you want to root for Carlito and that Carlito wins Raquel's corazon?
It's interesting. Okay, that's a good question. What does the WWE, what is it building to?
Yeah.
Is it building to a belt? No. Is it building to a heel change or a babyface turn? No. I think it's just building for a pop. Like one big kissy pop that's going to happen, and that's what Triple H is building for. Now, we've talked about this countless times. Does romance in WWE work? Triple H has kind of made it work with Dom and Liv and Dom and Rhea. But does Carlito have the charisma? You have more experience with Carlito. Like, does he have the charisma to pull this off where it doesn't come off too cheesy?
I think like at a point that he did, but the Carlito that we have nowadays doesn't really get given the opportunity. Like if he were to all of a sudden become a Riz Lord, it would feel weird.
Don't say that.
Sorry, the Riz Master.
No.
The Rizzler. Let's say that Carlito.
Rizlito. Yes.
Sure, Rizlito. Let's say he becomes Rizlito.
Hey, don't do that. Just because you can say Raquel.
Sorry, that's actually good. Raquel,
Rizlito.
I hate it. I hate it so much. It would just feel weird, like if all of a sudden, like that's his entire character motivation. But then again, it would kind of be on brand, considering his whole motivation recently has been about making sure that they can still keep the PS5 during the Judgment Day separation. You know what? This is actually a bigger symptom of, Sancho. I don't think we need the Judgment Day anymore. Because when I saw Raquel, Liv, and Dom together, I was like, yeah, that group bangs. Yep. That works. I like what this is. Give me more of this. But then when they were all together with Finn Balor, JD McDonough, Carlito, when they were together as a unit, I was meh. Judgment Day has accomplished what it needs to accomplish. It made Rhea a megastar. It made Damian Priest a megastar. It made a megastar out of Dominic Mysterio. It made Liv Morgan break out of her shell and made her a superstar. Yeah, okay, we got a couple of oddballs out in Finn Balor. But Finn Balor's Finn Balor. He's going to be fine if you separate him, go off on his own. JD McDonough might be a casualty, and Carlito's Carlito, bro. Like, so long as he gets his PS5, he's fine. But, like, the Judgment Day as a group, what is this serving now? What is... it's almost like, to me, the only reason to keep the Judgment Day around is for a potential Wyatt 6 feud. That's the only reason I want to see them stick around.
Maybe that's just it. Maybe it will be the Wyatt 6 to bury them and put them away. Wyatt 6 and Karrion Kross are a catalyst for heel and babyface changes. I agree with you. Judgment Day is not the same. Judgment Day doesn't have that vibe. And the format of the 2-hour show cannot allow Judgment Day to build back up again because they don't have enough segments. everything has been truncated. Even the vignettes are smashed together, and it's so jarring to see Rhea Ripley cut a promo and then right with a vignette with Braun Breaker. You're just like, it feels like I'm watching commercials, it feels like I'm watching clips, like a clip show of wrestling with the 2-hour Raw, because it's just no smoothness, because it figured out a cool transitions to do between all the storylines, but it's no longer that. And I don't know, man. It's a bummer. We called it that when Judgment Day breaks, it's not going to be the same. And when I saw like the trio of them, I'm like, ooh, God, they're perfect together. Mm-hmm. They look awesome. When Raquel came out on SmackDown, particularly, I just noticed it's funny that Monday Night Raw is pre-taped because she came out with red sunglasses. I was like, I'm glad they figured that out. I'm glad that they figured out that the black little shades were the perfect shades of her, because she looks amazing. And I love her new attire. It's very Diesel-esque. Like, it's all the little tassels and the leather fringe.
Sancho, enough.
Yes.
Call her by the name. Just say it. Say it and mean it. Say it.
If I refuse, would I be kicked off this train? Because to be fair, I've been on the Raquel train a long time. Okay.
This is no longer Raquel. Say it. Say it.
Raquel.
I'm making it a thing. Raquel's going to be a thing. It's going to be everywhere, brother. Raquel is going to be a thing. It is the next wah 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 wah. It's the next thing. It was Santos Escobar. It's the next thing. Raquel, get on it now, man. Diamond hands.
You know who's the next thing? Mark, that guy on TikTok who goes sexy.
You know he's got a cameo now.
He does?
Yeah, we got to pay for a Wrestling is Cool cameo. Something.
Yes, something has happened.
Dude, I love that guy, but he pales in comparison to Kai Cenat when it comes to social media. All of us pale in comparison to Kai Cenat because this guy is a megastar. He is crossing over into the world of the mainstream, doing sleepover streams with Kevin Hart. He just had a major collab with McDonald's to release what I've been wanting for a long time, a chicken Big Mac. I feel like somebody stole my idea out of my idea book, out of my dream journal. I've been wanting a chicken Big Mac for a really, really long time. And now we have a collab between John Cena and Kai Cenat. An hour long. I will say, if I'm stack ranking this, it pales in comparison to the Kevin Hart appearance, because Kevin Hart, dude, that's his environment, improv, that ecosystem, that improv comedy. That's where Kevin Hart originally made his fame. And to put him into the improv ecosystem of what the internet lovingly calls Kai Carly, because it's just iCarly run by Kai Cenat, he fits so perfectly. Cena, a little bit of fish out of water in that ecosystem, but I still thought it was a lot of fun. And it was just kind of cool to see like a corner of our world, wrestling, jumping into another big part of our world, which is content creation and live streaming for both you and I, Sancho. Do you like it? What do you think?
I loved it. And I think like what's interesting is Kai Cenat is he's kind of moving things forward in the streaming space. He's letting you know that you could dream big and do big productions. And if you keep pushing to these big productions, you could snag a Kevin Hart. You could snag a John Cena. You could keep growing not only for yourself, but your boys with the amp. So there's so many great things that are happening. In regards to John Cena's there, I knew what kind of John Cena where I was going to get, right? Where John Cena is going to be like, okay, I'm here as John Cena. I'm going to, not necessarily distance, but I'm just going to keep my guard up and play the games. But what makes John at his best is when he said, all right, I get the streaming world. I understand. Let's ask a real question here. Let's answer something real. Let's be real for a second. And of course, that's when he went into his motivational John Cena. And there were some very pointed things that he said. And I think that it's important in a space where, you know, there's so many voices on stream in variety of different worlds and in different POVs, that there is a positive place like Kai Cenat and John Cena to have a stage to let the world know that the world, it's a tough place, but you could keep going every day. And I think what's cool about John Cena is that's the way he is. He's that way in the wrestling. He's that way in the TV screen, and he came across that way on the stream. And you should be awesome. I am proud for John Cena to kind of deliver that. Because for a second there, I was like, "Ooh, John, this is commercial John, right? He's just here to sling that chicken Big Mac." And I get it. The bag's there. You're kind of doing your thing. You're trying to fit in. And then when he was able to finally land as himself, John Cena, it worked. It was perfect.
Here's an interesting question for you. And I feel like this is going to have to make you kind of like dig into your bag of, what do you hold more in esteem, the world of Kai Cenat or the world of John Cena? Who was this bigger for? Was this bigger for Kai or was this bigger for Cena?
Can I just say it washed out? Like they're both equal. It's kind of strange because like John Cena follows everybody on Earth. Okay, on when it comes to Twitter, John Cena is an actor, peacemaker. He's gonna about have his 1 year run, his last year run. He's a known commodity. He's recognized around the world. I think it shows you that Kai Cenat could roll with someone that is not inside of his realm, his wheelhouse, and roam with a celebrity that is on the levels of Kevin Hart. Because like would you say John Cena is bigger than Kevin Hart in terms of global?
Ooh, it's hard, dude. Kevin Hart's been in like so many massive movies now.
Okay. They're in the same stratosphere.
Yeah,
right?
They're in the same ecosystem. Yes.
I think it was a mutual benefit because John and Kai, they needed each other for that moment to push McDonald's, right? Because that's what it is. And I think it worked perfectly. Kai Cenat got to get a viral moment with John Cena, being motivational. And John Cena got to have that viral moment with the younger generation to let the people know that he's still doing it and he's doing a new thing. And it was great it's a great day for wrestling. That's for sure.
I think it's just indicative that there is just different ways to be a celebrity now. You can be a worldwide celebrity without ever touching the landscape of Hollywood. Before, it just sort of felt like you had to, right? Like it was mutually exclusive. To be famous, it was Hollywood or music. And now there's just another vertical in the world of content creation where the internet is such a beast in terms of connecting humanity across the planet together that somebody like Kai Cenat has a reach that I think is larger than Cena's in many regards.
On this front, I agree. One of the things I have to say, though, is as someone that pursued this dream of acting, and I went to LA, tried, failed horribly, this venue or this avenue of streaming, content creating has opened doors to me that would not have been open to me as an actor. I have been in commercials. I've done hosting and casting. All these different things that I wanted to do as an actor would have never been able to do.
But I found a way.
Host the Wrestling Schools podcast. I found it. I found a way. And I think that's what's so exciting about Kai Cenat is that he's leading the way into different realms. So, I mean, not only that, there's like the Call Me Daddy having Kamala Harris, right? There's so many different things. I mean, Joe Rogan.
That is not a podcast she should be on. No. I've listened to Call Me Daddy. It is ridiculously raunchy to have the vice president of the free world on there. It's crazy.
It shows you that there is opportunities in this space, and who knows who we will get in Wrestling School? Who knows where we will go as a product? I mean, we have big aspirations, we have big dreams. I cannot wait, man. And I know there's people out there that called me out for not including John Cena's tweets. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is from John Cena from 6 hours ago at the time of this recording. Many of us have our critics and also our supporters, yet the most growth and development can come from mentors and coaches because they see what we are capable of and offer honest fuel for growth. Seek guidance and be coachable. Ooh, woo. That is not so like, ooh, woo, woo. That is on point.
That's actually true.
That is actually true. As the one previously was, each day is one closer to the finish line. Try your best to run a good race. That is, woo.
Yeah, that's like talking about death.
I think John Cena thinks about that every day. He kind of feels like he's that kind of cat that thinks about the end as much as possible so he could live it every day to its fullest. Because he said so himself with that Kai Cenat thing. He's like, did I earn the sunset? And that's a kind of like a deep thing to say on a stream, right? When we're used to just like brain rot. And not saying Kai Cenat's brain rot, but it's just like in general, when things go viral, is usually brain rot. And failures and fails and things of that sort. So it's cool that the positive got a dub that day with Kai Cenat, and I think Kai Cenat could continue to do that more. Like my favorite thing of that Kevin Hart thing is with him and what was it where he's like, we're friends though. Oh, that was so funny. What's the artist's name that's like, make me come on, you gotta help me out here. You're letting me suffer here. You're just
I'm enjoying the suffering. I don't remember his name. I'm sorry.
her name.
Oh, I don't know.
It's make me sweat. What
Is
is
it?
it?
Ice Spice?
No,
Then
you
I don't know
fool.
what you're talking about.
Tyla with water.
Okay. I literally cannot visualize who you were even talking about.
I have a question.
Okay.
What other wrestler could have been in John Cena's with Kai Cenat? Like who could ride with him? Who could roll with him? Obvious answer is The Rock, but I want to like dig a little deeper. Who can be right now that is active on the main roster, be on the next Kai Cenat stream?
It's Cody. I really no, dude. I really come on. You
no,
know why? I think it can be Cody.
No way. Cody Rhodes?
Yeah, dude.
No,
think about
dude.
It, like the moment with the libations. Of course, Jey Uso is a great option. Like, think about just how funny Cody can actually be. You get a couple drinks in Cody, and he's got some zingers. If you give me Cody when he would do like the being the elite. Like, think about how hilarious he could be in those skits. Zombie Vince McMahon, how good that is.
So, Kai Cenat, what do you want to talk about? No, dude.
Yes,
no.
yes.
Oh, God.
Cody would be great.
You don't think Rhea Ripley could be great? Come on, dude. Rhea Ripley would be awesome with Kai Cenat. Because Kai Cenat would fold. Fold.
Who the hell wouldn't? To be fair.
Yeah, come on. It has to be Rhea. I don't know, man.
Cody, man. Cody would be awesome. It would be awesome. But yeah, the number one answer would be The Rock. Because we've seen The Rock in that, not necessarily in that type of brain rot environment, but we know how he was with the Pat McAfee show. He was great there.
Oh, yeah.
He was great on the Pat McAfee show, and I think that him on Kai Cenat would be great. Come on, it'd be fun. What about The Undertaker, fully in character?
It'd be cool because Kai Cenat does have the Undertaker dong as part of his...
Yes, it's part of like his thing.
Undertaker dong. Is it a dong?
It's not a dong, Sancho.
It's absolutely
no, Sancho, don't down this hill. This
what
is a
can
hill.
I?
Sancho, please get off of this hill. It is.
You're not dying on this hill. It is a dong sound,
Sancho,
isn't it?
Sancho, please don't.
What can I say? Undertaker's dong.
It is not
a dong.
Undertaker's dong. It is Undertaker's gong. Please, this is not a hill that you even want to be on right now. You are getting memed to Kingdom Come. It is Undertaker's gong. Please never say that you.
Dong.
Oh, I love Undertaker's dong. Whenever the dong hits, I love when the dong comes. Don't put yourself in this situation. It's a gong. I will allow you to die on the hill of the chugga chugga versus dugga dugga of the train. It is a gong. It is not Undertaker's dong. Please, I will let you drown in this pool. I will not send you a lifeline. This is the only warning I'm giving you. Please give up on this being Undertaker's dong.
You're my boy. You saved me so much.
That's my co-host. That's my teammate. I can't let you die on the hill of Undertaker's dong.
He's jumping in front of the bullet. No.
I gotta take the dong for Sancho.
You're Murph in the bookcase, brother. I appreciate you.
No, Sancho. It's not a dong. It's a gong. No.
I'm afraid to Google Undertaker's dong. Is it dong or gong? I'm afraid. I don't think
my goodness.
I'm sorry. There's people right now not understanding what we've been through. Okay.
That was. I felt like I watched your life flash before my eyes as you said Undertaker's dong.
It's a dong.
Sancho, it's a gong. for the love of everything that is holy, it's a gong.
This cannot be our next feud. I refuse. This cannot be our next thing.
Look, it can be our feud because if you want to side with the dong, you can ride the dong all you want. If that's the route you want to take.
No, I cannot be the dong rider. I cannot do that. I cannot do that.
What about LA Knight? You know, we talk about dongs to ride. What about LA Knight here?
Well, clear the floor, Santi. I'm about to make a groove right now because I have been so bad about the Glaze Factory. You know, we've been on discount. We've been having issues. We've been going left and right. But here we are on top of the Glaze Mountain. The Glaze Factory is at an all-time high. Just imagine LA Knight finally getting some burn, finally stepping up to the plate, and finally getting someone in Carmelo Hayes to sell that BFT. Mwah. You cannot disagree, Santi, that BFT belongs in a museum. If there was a GIF of it to be in one of the future YouTubers of 100 finishers, the rate, the BFT on Carmelo would be that right then and there. And for it to come out of nowhere, the counter to the BFT, LA Knight, baby. We is cooking. He's on cylinders. He didn't flub twice, 3 weeks in a row almost. No flubs, no gruffs. Just graps and BFTs. And I absolutely love it.
It's weird, though. It does feel like he's the third wheel a little bit, even though obviously he's the champion and the two guys are vying to get that championship opportunity from LA Knight. But it just doesn't feel like we're at an LA Knight feud yet. Like he's kind of on standstill. And the feud that's going on right now is Carmelo Andrade. And then once the smoke clears out of that, then maybe we have a more clear path for what the narrative will be for LA Knight. Because right now there really isn't one. It's just sort of, well, I guess you get a championship opportunity this week, Andrade, and then next week it'll be Carmelo Hayes, and then you guys can go off and have Game 7. So LA Knight's just sort of been in a bit of a standstill since his feud with Santos Escobar.
We have been in a standstill. The Glaze Factory has not been selling like hotcakes, but at least we're not underappreciated. We're not we're not being used. We're being utilized a little bit. And I think it's just put LA Knight as a floater, man. Let someone challenge him let someone from Monday Night Raw invade. Let him go up against Bronson Reed. I think that'd be a very cool feud for LA Knight and a very cool feud for Bronson Reed. Just get him some burn on the mic because Bronson Reed can cut a solid promo. And if he was going against LA Knight, that'd be awesome. What if Adam Pearce just can't control him? He goes like, you know what? You're gone. I traded you to SmackDown. Like, you know, I don't think if LA Knight beat Bronson, it'd be a bad thing for Bronson Reed. I know he's going to go up against Seth Rollins, but it just shows you the juxtaposition. On Monday Night Raw, you have a Mint Carter who's slowly growing into a great status on the upper card of Bronson Reed, feuding with Seth Rollins. Bronson Reed has no belt, and he's going up against one of the best. What does LA Knight have? A rookie in Carmelo and Andrade, who's a signee coming back again from AEW. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. You can't wrestle Randy. You can't wrestle Kevin Owens. Can't wrestle Cody. Can't wrestle any of the Bloodline members. Put him in a feud with Jey. Oh, not again. Is it happening again? I'm still here.
You're still here. I was like, oh, where's that referee?
Where's that referee? But yeah, that's the whole thing about it is LA Knight needs his feud. He needs his Bret Hart. He needs his Razor Ramon.
He needs his muse. He needs his Moby Dick. He really does. It's a book, all right? He's Captain Ahab. He needs his Moby Dick. He needs that enemy that fuels this championship run to something that'll actually be memorable, because we haven't had that. Is it Logan Paul again? Is it?
Logan's not around enough, though.
I know, but like you mentioned the people that are around, and you haven't been particularly enamored by any of them as a long-term feud that can really cement LA Knight. You know, you weren't. You mentioned Andrade, Carmelo, Santos. They haven't done it for you. And you said that, you know, it can't be the top tier echelon guys right now because they're busy. So I'm almost saying Logan Paul by default, even though he's not there.
I don't think Logan takes another loss though against LA Knight. I think the only benefit of Logan versus LA Knight is that they scratched the surface and they found something with LA Knight being a clown around Logan Paul, going to his Puerto Rican mansion and swimming in the pool. Like, I need more of that. Like, that's what I need more of. I like AJ Styles putting LA Knight over, saying, you don't want to mess with LA Knight. He invaded my house. He's legit. I like that, but AJ Styles is seemingly on the shelf for a while. And Bobby Lashley's not around. He went to AEW, and no Sheldon Bennett. Like, there's just no options at SmackDown. They got to have someone do what the women's roster was doing. Let them come over and invade, even if they don't say it officially. That kind of stuff was awesome when Raquel and Liv and Dom were on SmackDown, and then vice versa. Nia and Tiffy were on Monday Night Raw. That was cool. I need more of that, dude. For the mid card, for the men's side.
Yeah. It does feel like the Raw mid card, it's just the better place to be right now. At the very least, in terms of talent that's there, that's viable to be a intercontinental champion. I do feel like there is just more to pick from compared to what we have on SmackDown. I feel like you're kind of hitting it on the head there. It does make it difficult for LA Knight to cement himself as a iconic United States champion when there's no one to have that iconic feud with yet. I feel like Carmelo can be that guy, but we need Carmelo to fully end what's going on with Andrade before LA Knight can properly sink his teeth into that feud and for it to be his storyline as opposed to him just being an auxiliary piece into a different storyline of Andrade and Carmelo.
Do you feel that because Cody and Roman amped that belt so high up that the skill ceiling, to take a gaming term, is so high between United States and Undisputed? Like, it is vast compared to IC and World Heavyweight title. That skill ceiling is like a lot closer. Like the jump is easier for
100%.
Gunther.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're 100% right, because look at what they've done the last couple of world championship transitions, right? You had okay, so let's look at Seth Rollins, right?
Sure.
We had him lose to Drew McIntyre, sure, and then he loses it to a mid-card guy in Damian Priest that was capable of making that jump. And I would argue that jump of Damian Priest cashing in on the Undisputed would have been too high. So it was like the perfect stepping stone. And then who did he lose it to? He lose it to Gunther, a guy who just before was the Intercontinental Champion. Perfect jump. And then Gunther's most recent championship defense against a recent Intercontinental Champion. So the IC Championship, and it might be because of the work Gunther did to elevate that championship for over a year, has now become a much better stepping stone. So maybe it's not even the fact that the Undisputed title is so high. Maybe the IC title just rose to that level to make it a more comparable and easier stepping stone to go from IC to world title than it is right now to go from US to Undisputed. It seems like too big of a gap, too big of a jump that it would be unrealistic.
Yeah, but I still think in the vast world of rankings of the belt, it goes United States, IC title, heavyweight, Undisputed. Like, you need to get the IC title to get on that path. And you're just for the United States, you're just a television champion.
I would say so. I would say so. Like, I think the bigger thought here and the bigger conclusion is that I don't think that the conclusion necessarily is that the Undisputed is so out of reach from the mid card. I think that the conclusion here is that the IC title is just the better stepping stone right now. Because if I were, for example, right, let's say LA Knight, right, and Braun Breaker. No, let's do Braun Breaker and LA Knight. Let's say LA Knight just loses his United States Championship.
Right.
At face value, who seems like a more credible, undisputed champion contender, Braun Breaker or LA Knight?
Oh. I took an oath the day that I got hired at the Glaze Factory.
You're out of this question. It's Braun Breaker. It's Braun Breaker. It
can't be just Braun Breaker.
Over LA Knight. I feel like Braun Breaker just, because he has that like legacy of the Intercontinental Championship.
I would say Braun Breaker for heavyweight over LA Knight.
But I think Braun Breaker over LA Knight for both of them.
Wow.
for both of them. Yeah.
Wow.
And I think it's because of the symptom of coming off the back of an Intercontinental Championship reign. Just feels like a more natural next step to go after a world title. And I just don't feel that with the US title. And I think partly because the last several US title holders have not gone on to go for world titles. Yeah, Logan Paul had a world title opportunity, but that was a Saudi show. It's not canon. There was Rey Mysterio when he was US champion. He lost. He didn't do anything. There was Austin Theory, lost the US title, didn't do anything. Like, they haven't done a great job of making it a stepping stone, but they have with the IC.
I would say, though, in all seriousness, that LA Knight, the belt would stick longer on him than it would like a Braun Breaker.
What, the world title?
Any title that he gets up there, LA Knight would hold it for a good while.
Okay.
He would ride with it a lot longer. Braun could certainly get it faster, but LA Knight, it'd be stickier on LA Knight because LA Knight would. It just depends, dude. How much are they willing to be creative with LA Knight? You know? Can they let LA Knight be that Stone Cold Rock-like character that could have free reign and just take over a show? Because that is what LA Knight is trying to be like, to take over SmackDowns, to be the megastar, to be the main event, to have the best segment, to have the most outlandish idea, or like to drive a Zamboni into the arena. Like, that's LA Knight's path. Braun Breaker, on the other hand, Santi, he is not about that. He's more of like just to have the banger match, right? Be in the ring, be a badass with a great promo. So they're like different kind of cats, so to speak.
Yeah, I think it's difficult to compare them.
Yeah, I think LA Knight would have more responsibility beyond a Braun Breaker champion, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. I do get what you're saying. We're also comparing a 25-year-old to a 42-year-old with far more experience than Braun Breaker. So it is, it's not entirely apples to apples here.
No.
But yeah, I still think, like, at face value, I would think that Braun Breaker, as it stands right now, would be the one more likely to get a big world title opportunity over LA Knight. And it's because of, not to discredit LA Knight's great work. It's more to discredit right now the aura of the United States Championship versus the aura of the IC Championship.
Question. Does LA Knight capture big gold or undisputed when his career is over at the WWE?
I think so. Yeah, I do. I do think that eventually it will happen. Once we're starting to get more into a traditional championship reign schedule than what we had, right? Like the IC title just came off the back of a historic reign, and now it's back to potentially bouncing back and forth for every couple of months. Same with the world title. We just had a undisputed title reign that was historic, and maybe, Cody's on a long one as well, but maybe once Cody drops it, maybe it returns back to its old self of changing every 4 to 6 months as opposed to being held for a year plus. We are seeing it with pretty much every championship right now. It's starting to reduce its championship reign length. And once I feel like we're back at a steady state of normalcy with championship reigns, I feel like that's when an LA Knight championship reign could be more likely and realistic.
All right, you're talking about championship reigns. We're talking about all these kind of belts. Tag team division is about to get injected with a new member, a new tag team. War Raiders already came back on the Raw side. SmackDown, at the time of this recording, this is Wednesday and Friday when this gets released to public. If you're on Patreon, you've already heard this. Motor City Machine Guns, brother, going against Los Garzas.
Los Garzas, great first tag team to go up against. The Los Garzas are so underrated. We just don't see them enough on SmackDown, but when they have matches, they're always really, really good matches, especially in like their last run on NXT. They were fantastic. They just don't get the opportunity. And, they leave a lot to be desired from a character point of view, but never from an in-ring perspective. They always leave it out there. And Motor City Machine Guns teaming up against Los Garzas. Los Garzas are going to, not that Motor City needs help looking good, but I feel like Los Garzas are a great tag team to make Motor City look good the WWE way. As a great initial introduction to the WWE way of professional wrestling and produced wrestling. I'm excited for the match. I think it's going to be good. I hope it's not a squash match. Although we've been noticing that when new talent comes in that's got that's a superstar from a different organization, when they've been coming in, they have been squashing people. Julia didn't squash Chelsea Green, and Stephanie didn't squash Ren Sinclair. I hope it's not a squash match. I just hope it's a good match.
Go ahead and vamp for a bit. I'm going to help the missus with something quickly.
Sure. Motor City Machine Guns, folks. If you have not had the chance to watch the Motor City Machine Guns, you're in for a treat. Actually, Alex Shelley went on a nice little singles run where he became TNA World Champion. But to me, they've always done their best work when they're together as a tag team. I firmly believe that Motor City Machine Guns might be the greatest tag team, maybe outside of the Young Bucks, to never be a tag team within the WWE umbrella. And I'm excited for you guys to see them. It just sucks it didn't happen sooner, because Motor City Machine Guns have been cooking as a tag team for like 20 years at this point.
I'm just hoping it's not a Gorillas of Destiny and Tonga's fight. Because they were built up like, dude, these guys, Gorillas of Destiny, are awesome in Japan. And they're kind of like, they're not rose-tinted glasses, but you're building them up, hyping them up. You're saying the greatest.
Yeah.
The greatest.
Yeah. I think a lot of people would agree with that statement. Like they're in the conversation. They would be in a top 5 list of greatest tag teams to never be in the WWE.
Okay, but I don't want this to be an Anderson and Gallows situation.
Oh man, that was tough, yeah.
Right? Because they were built up to be these New Japan best ever. The Good Brothers, the OC,
so I think the symptom there, and it's maybe part of the symptom with Gorillas of Destiny, is that, like, for example, like Gallows and Anderson, they were part of a larger group that helped give them that aura, the Bullet Club. Motor City Machine Guns have always just been those two. It's always just them. They've always just been running together. They weren't part of a greater faction that made them famous, that made them known. There's no affiliation with a bigger name like Gallows and Anderson had with AJ Styles. This is just a straight up tag team that has been cooking for 2 decades now in the landscape of professional wrestling. I think that they're going to be a great addition. And with the return of War Raiders, Motor City Machine Guns within the next year, hopefully we get the Lucha Brothers in the WWE. Look, the tag team division needs help. It really, really does. And these are awesome teams to help revitalize in some adrenaline in the soul of the tag team division that desperately needs it.
You think the Motor City Machine Guns keep their theme, or they get a new theme?
Oh, they're gonna get a new theme. I bet they get a new theme.
Over under that it has sirens in it.
I'm gonna say under. I don't think they give them sirens. I bet they give them a revving engine though.
The vignette had sirens. It's so interesting. The vignettes have this heavy police presence, because when obviously it has little landmarks of Detroit and Michigan and things of that sort, but it's like there's like them walking out and there's like a police siren in the background, because it's so odd to me, because I guess someone are putting this connection that they're like RoboCop type vibes, because that is where RoboCop's from, Detroit.
That's true. Maybe it's like a Judge Dredd group.
Oh, dude, Judge Dredd's such a cool character. Have you seen the movie Dredd?
Of course. How do you think I know Judge Dredd? Yes.
I'm talking about I'm not talking about Stallone Dredd. Stallone Dredd different.
No.
I am the law. Yeah. That is a different Dredd.
I've seen all the Dredd movies.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude. The moment where Carl Urban said he will never take off the helmet, I was like, yes, dude. This is a real good Judge Dredd, because Stallone wanted to take off the mask, and that's not the character of Dredd. They wanted to take off the helmet.
Stallone wanted to be the movie star, right? He wanted his face attached to the character. It's just not right. It's not right.
It's not right. Dude, Stallone was awesome wrestling Thunderlips Hogan.
It's funny. I recently watched that too. It's so
Why?
Goofy. It's so goofy. Well, I watched clips of it during the Vince McMahon doc. It came up, and I was like, okay, I need to go back and rewatch this. So that's what. It's so goofy,
dude. Oh, Hogan's so big, and he's like, "I'm gonna squash you, meatball." He's like, huh.
Dude, Hogan was huge, an enormous human being.
Yeah. Vince. Yeah, Vince didn't want him to do that, and he had to leave WWE just to do that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That they talk about that in the documentary. What is your thoughts currently on The Miz and R-Truth, this storyline that involves Karrion Kross? We've got the Wyatt Six clearly looming on either The Miz or Karrion Kross. I mean, this is your realm. This is This is a train, I suppose. Go ahead, Conductor Sancho. I don't know
It
if you
is the train of the New Day and Karrion Kross and Miz. Look, you could hate on it all you want, Santi. You could start shining your shoes. You could start cleaning up your little dirty room there with all your 8, 9, 10, 12 John Cena shirts. If there was an energy drink that John Cena was slinging, you would have it all there behind you. But no, this is one of the fun stories that's happening by far with Miz and R-Truth, and Miz finally turning heel and doubling down on it. I was like trying to make the video of my reaction. I was like, Miz turns more. You know what I mean? Because it was like he already turned last week, but he just doubled down on it. And I love hearing the old Miz thing. I came to play. Ooh. And Karrion back there looking like a proud papa, like an evil Mr. Miyagi, going, yeah, yeah. Give him that skull crushing finale. Yeah. And I love the barbs. Have you been noticing that Karrion Kross has been like, yeah, I don't care if it's the White Six. Bring him on. I don't care. TikTok. Yeah.
So
right?
I would assume that you also believe that the White Six are going after Final Testament. I mean, it's faction versus faction. It just sort of makes sense.
I think you're gonna get. You remember when it was the Wyatt? It was the Wyatts. Luke Harper and Eric Rowan versus the Shield. Remember those times?
Oh, great times.
It's going to be that, dude. It's going to be that kind of high-flying action. You're going to have Karrion Kross who could go in the ring, and he's going to be not necessarily... Chad Gable's a better wrestler than Karrion Kross, right? Technical wrestler, but I think Karrion Kross and Bo Dallas, a.k.a. Uncle Howdy, are going to have some great banger matches. I think we're going to get it all, dude. We're going to get the 1v1s. We're going to get the trio v trio. We're going to get squad versus squad with Scarlett. Scarlett's going to get in the ring. Come on, dude. Santi, I think it's time, my boy. Will you join this train?
But this is a different train. I should be allowed on it. You should not be. I am on it. I want to be on this one.
God, why, dude? I give you the chance.
I don't need the chance from you. This is a different train. I should just be allowed on it. I don't need your permission.
You're such an idiot. All you have to say is yes, and I would have let you on, my boy.
Why can't I just come on? Why do I need your permission? This is a different train. This is literally nothing to do with a New Day. No, you don't get. No. Do not put it on. No. Don't. This doesn't all of a sudden make you the master of trains.
Yes, it does. You're so dumb. You see the hat? I look like Tom Hanks in Polar Express. You see the hat?
I never connected that was Tom Hanks.
Yes, it is. They're all Tom Hanks, you dumbo. All of them in the Polar Express. He plays everybody. You didn't know that?
No.
Oh, my God.
Bro, I watched that when I was a kid.
Okay. Little Santi. Tom Hanks was everybody.
Wait, really?
Yes, he was.
No
he
way.
Played oh, my God.
He played the kids?
Yes, he played not all the kids, but he played the main kid. He played everybody.
Wait, hang on. Polar Express. I don't believe you. Polar Express film. Okay, I'm going to look at the cast. All right, who played who here?
Riveting podcast.
This is great material. Where's the cast? All right, so Tom Hanks plays Hero. Wow, he does play he plays a hobo. He plays Santa. He plays Ebenezer Scrooge. He plays the conductor, the hero's boy's father. Wow. That's cool, I guess. I didn't like that movie. I
gave you an opportunity, and all you had to do was put your ego aside, and I was ready to bury it. I was ready to bury it and put it down and move on for not only my sake, but for the Wrestling is Cool community who are just waiting for this to be over. And I said, Santi, just take my hand. And are you ready, my boy? I was literally Tom Hanks reaching out to you from the Polar Express, be like, are you ready, my boy, to join the train? And you were kicking and screaming like a little baby. When is that the same train? Banned again. No. Not allowed. Get out. You're not allowed. Out of the train. You had your chance.
You can't ban me off
this.
Yes,
I can. And I did.
No, this has nothing to do with the New Day.
Get out. It's the same thing. You had a chance, but it's going to be banger, dude. I cannot wait. We're going to have a great time. I just hear like that. Then the train, and there you go. Waiting at the train station like
Undertaker's a Dumbo. Dong. Undertaker's dong. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's that time of the show. Let's start to wrap things
we
up.
Covered it all.
Shall we do the new heat order?
New heat order, bro.
Now.
Did you know Chris Van Vliet's about to have Karrion Kross on his podcast? Do you think he asked him about the train?
Doubt it. Highly doubt it.
Chris Van Vliet, like, hey, a lot of people are not on your train. My mind would be.
It would blow my mind. It would actually blow my mind if it did.
And then you would hate that you're not on it. I guess because Chris Van Vliet, hey, he's on it, baby. I don't care if I never talked to him. If he hated it from the beginning, guess what? Hey, look at me. And look at me. Santi, Chris Van Vliet, he's on the train. Hey, yes, he is. Not you. Here is the new heat order as Santi picks up his dignity. Number 10, Roman Reigns. Number 9, Jimmy Uso. I gave him a chance, Chad. I did. Number 8, Tongans. Number 7, AJ Styles. Number 6, Chelsea Green. Number 5, Cody Rhodes. Number 4, Kevin Owens. Number 3, The Rock. Number 2, Drew McIntyre. Number 1, CM Punk. So that is the list after Bad Blood and all the fun. Where we are now, dude. Who's number 1? I am going to steal the thunder here and put number 1, Kevin Owens.
Yeah, I agree. Kevin Owens. I would agree with that. Number
1 with a bullet. And I think because of that social post, it definitely puts him there,
What about number 2, Jey Uso? Big conversation piece on SmackDown. Will he? Won't he? He's got the championship defense. He's helping the New Day. He's involved in a lot of things. He's got like the soap opera storyline going on with Jimmy on Raw.
Okay, I'll give you that. Number 3, hear me out. I want to go with Dirty Dom.
Okay. Why?
He saved Liv. He saved that championship. Tiffy was about to cash in.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That seems a little too high. And I love Dom. Just for that, I look at everybody else that was involved there.
How about 8?
How about 8?
9?
Look, let's do the other ones first. Because, you have Dom saving.
Dom's on the list.
Dom should be on the list. But I also think so should Nia, so should Tiffy, so should Liv, and so should Rhea. I feel like those 4 actually earned a spot on this list. They've got the best story of the week.
They're going to eat up the whole new heat order here, brother.
That's a lot of players, and that's 2 brands, and they're interconnecting these storylines. I think that's currently the most interesting build right now going into Crown Jewel.
Let's go off who's off the list. We had CM Punk, Drew off the list, The Rock off the list, not appearing on both shows. Still, Chelsea Green had a nice little fun moment.
Yeah.
She was out there with
we gotta have Roman. Roman probably is not. Yeah. Roman and Cody should probably be the next.
Okay, Roman, Cody are still at Jimmy's here. The Tongans didn't really do anything. AJ Styles is on the shelf.
Okay.
So that leaves us Roman and Cody then.
I would do honestly. The rest of the list should have Roman, Cody, Jimmy, and then the 4 ladies that we mentioned and Dom. Does that give us
Roman? 10? I think so. Roman, Cody.
The 4 women right there, all 4 of them.
Does Randy Orton make the list though?
He's still kind of in his. I almost said cucumber phase. In his, he's
gonna pickle.
No. What does a caterpillar become? A cocoon. Cocoon. He's in his cocooning phase. He's still not yet come out of the cocoon to be the major focal point of the storyline. I got cocoon and cucumber confused, bro.
He's still cute. You get them confused. One you eat and one you don't. You don't eat a cocoon, my friend.
Maybe
I would. I wish you would said we're waiting for him to pickle. I was like, oh, okay, that's cute. I like that cucumber pickle. He hasn't turned yet. The brine hasn't set in for the heel turn, but you blew it. You just admitted
I blew it.
you blew it. Okay, I agree with you there. So he's on the cusp. He's there. Randy's doing Randy things, but I think this is not the real Randy. That's what you're trying to say.
Correct.
Randy. No Gunther love, huh?
Not yet. I didn't love that promo. I feel like that was actually one of the weaker ones he's had. The zinger that he's become famous for, not a great zinger.
Especially coming off of Bad Blood. Oof. When he was on top of Bad Blood, man.
Yeah.
He hitting Bill Goldberg.
Bill.
Bill. Number 6 then. If we're gonna have Rhea, Liv, Nia, Tiffy, and Dom. Who is? Well, I'm gonna go with Rhea.
You have Rhea over all. Well, Rhea. I honestly, I think I would go Rhea Tiffy.
Yes.
Like, I love the fact that they tag team together. The Goth girl
cool.
and the Barbie girl, hilarious. Great juxtaposition.
I've seen that house in person.
Oh, cool.
The two houses. Yeah, it's in Malibu.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So Tiffy, I love Tiffy. I think Tiffy had fun times, and then the close cash-in was cool.
Yeah. I love the moment of. I love when wrestlers do this, kind of like point out like the goofiness and like, hey, what are you doing? Like when she had like Liv down on the ground, and Nia's like, huh, like just like begging her to cash in, like to realize what was happening. I like that.
All right, I'm gonna put Nia Jax, Raquel, Dirty Dom.
No Liv?
Oh well, then Liv Dom's off the list then, sir.
Okay, okay with Dom being off the list.
No. I think Liv had a great match against Rhea in that tag team match.
Okay, and I'm saying it's okay to have Dom on off the list. I think Raquel being 10 over Dom makes more sense.
I put Raquel over Liv Morgan because I like the ceiling of Raquel.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Like I know she's not on the level of Liv Morgan yet.
Okay.
But I'm excited to see what Raquel does in her new role as the enforcer of Liv Morgan.
Okay, I'll let you have this one. I'll let you have it.
Why, you rather have Liv Morgan over Raquel?
I think I can make a better argument for Liv Morgan over Raquel, but I won't split hair. It's 9 or 10. We can just it's no big deal.
Yeah, but this is the sacrilege of the new he ordered, my friend. This will forever be put in the history. All right, we can't mess around.
I think it's Liv over Raquel. I think Raquel just cracks the 10.
Does Liv pass Nia though?
No, I feel like Nia over Liv personally. Like
Isn't
Nia stood tall, left them all down on the ground.
Isn't it crazy that Bayley is on the outside looking in at this whole thing?
That Bayley's on. I said it, man. Going into the match at Bad Blood, I said that this feels like Bayley's stop on the bus. It's over. Like we're moving on. It's on to different storylines, different feuds. Naomi returning Charlotte. Bayley's done with this title picture for a little while.
Bummer.
One
in the 400. But does last thing that I'm sure it's on the minds of a lot of people. Does Becky Lynch come back soon? Is Becky Lynch coming back this for WrestleMania 41, or is she's going to come back for the WrestleMania 42 cycle?
I have no idea, man. There seems to be no interest to come back. She's not signed to WWE. You're aware of this, right? She's a free agent.
I feel like the WWE is okay with her not being on the roster to let other talent develop, but they should be happy that there's no money that Tony Khan can offer Becky that make her go to AEW. And who knows? One day Becky might wake up, look around, and be like, I could take a bag here and bolt for like a year or two, or maybe 3. Build up some money and then go back in WWE. It's possible, but the question is Tony Khan willing to take a risk to sign someone that is easily able to go back? Because I think Tony Khan right now is willing to sign WWE talent, as you can see with her business, but he wants to find people that are going to be lifers. Like he wants someone to be around for 6, 7, 8, 9 years type of vibe. And if you were looking at Becky, considering that Mercedes Moné has already said she's an AEW lifer, there's a lot of risk in signing someone that is like the John Cena-esque of the women's division. Mm-hmm. Like Becky's been there forever.
Yeah, man. I mean, hey, that's how billionaires are made, right? Risks. Analyzing the risk of your financial investment, but it's risky to invest so much in a Becky Lynch when she could literally go back to where and use her Becky Lynch name that's big, because she won't be Becky Lynch in AEW. She'd have to use Rebecca Quinn, I think is her name.
Yeah.
Yeah, like she could just go back to the WWE after the end of the contract where her branding is intact, where she's uber mega famous, and they'd accept her with open arms. Like that's a tough prospect and a tough risk to take for a Tony Khan. And
at the same time, this Adam Copeland Edge situation could get hurt, could be on the shelf. So many crazy things, but Becky Lynch would actually do really well in AEW. They need her. They need her more than ever. The big name.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
at least it's the only thing is like Becky did not have her best promo work on the way out, so to speak.
Yeah, people got weirdly annoyed with
I mean,
Becky
she
Lynch
was
towards
talking
the
about her
end.
hat,
It was bad.
lemonade.
Oh
It
yeah, it
was
wasn't
it
great. It
was
was not great.
strange.
It
It
was
was strange.
it wasn't the best.
I know we didn't cover AW, and then this is your new heat order. Just going to talk about this real quick. New heat order. You got Raquel, got 9. Liv Morgan, 8. Nia Jax, number 7. Tiffany Stratton, number 6. Rhea Ripley, number 5. Jimmy Uso, number 4. Cody Rhodes, number 3. Roman Reigns, number 2. Jey Uso, number 1. Kevin Owens. And shouts to Jimmy for cutting a good promo on his way back. It was a really good promo.
Very good promo.
Did you watch Jon Moxley versus Bryan Danielson?
I did.
Quick thoughts on that to wrap us up.
I hated the ending. A lot of people are now trying to become apologists of the ending, saying, well, that's what they're going for. Okay, yeah, but like if just because that's what they were going for doesn't mean I can't think it was garbage. I hate, like, if that was Daniel Bryan's last hoorah, that sucks. That's an awful way for him to go out. I will say the way that Jon Moxley won sets up Jon Moxley to be a giant, big bad of AEW, which I think in turn is going to force the next generation to have to step up their game to reclaim AEW back, like the Darbys of the world, like the Orange Cassidys of the world. But the match, the ending, I didn't like it.
It kind of reminds me of Infinity War ending with Tony Stark dying, right? By Thanos, like say Thanos killed Iron Man, and then the next movie is everybody assembling to step up to beat Jon Moxley.
Yeah, that wouldn't have been a great ending to Infinity War.
Well, I know that.
At least
they
killed that bum ass robot no one cared about.
Vision?
Bum ass Vision. Vision is lame, bro.
What are you talking about?
Vision
have you seen
sucked ass.
Have you seen WandaVision?
Ass.
Where he goes, what is grieving but love preserving, dude?
Oh, what is grieving but love preserving? You're a superhero. You're a robot. Shut up and fight. Do your beep, boop, 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 and do your little lasers. No one cares about you trying to be this higher being with an intellect, thinking you're better than us. Just fight, all right? Just put the fries in the bag, robot. Just put the fries in the bag. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching this episode of the Wrestling is Cool podcast. This episode would not have been possible
Cold-hearted.
without our $15 patrons. These are the...
Are you okay? What did you put in your mouth?
Undertaker's dong. $15 a little
Choking on it, eh?
A little mint. $15 patrons, they're the ones that are our producers of the show, and as such, do get their names read out here in the credits of the show. Always nervous to read these because people have been changing their names to some gruesome things.
Kids, leave the room.
Sancho Mania running wild. FU Santi, I'm first. Nick Harvey, you're no longer first. Sancho Mania running wild is first. 2022 Benjamin, Aaron Garcia, AC Big Mac, Akira Kemp, Alan Crockett, Anita Max Win, Asher McYoda, Ashley Asperlitz, Ozzy Kingslayer, Austin Baker, Austin Gregory, Austin Weaver, Bailey Saunders, Ben Calloway, Barry, B. Hossel, Big Poppy Sasquatch, Brady Keaton, Brandon, Big Guy, Bry Guy or Bree Guy, Bryce Burt, CUM Punk, the Straight Edger. You can spell that out. Caleb,
so lame. Boo, read it. Sunday. He paid $15.
Come Punk, the Straight Edger.
There you go.
Okay. All right. Caleb Lee, to be fair, he separated CUM in dashes, so I think he meant for me to say CUM Punk. Anyways, Caleb Lee, Call Sign Caveman, Cameron Dodd.
Let them determine that.
Cameron Noel, Carlos Gonzalez, CB Chupapi, Chimchars Collectibles, Chris Hansen says stop oiling up Santi, Christian Billick, Christian Royal, CM Puff, Colby Johns, Connor Williamson, Danny the Chad GF, Dar, Diddy versus Santi in an oiled up match. Nope. DJ Broadnex, GJS, Dumsky, Dylan Kana, Eric Theory Gonzalez, Ethan Latch, Isatch, member of the Straight Edging Society. That's two edging references.
Hey, Isatch is the homie. Forever. Now, then, forever.
Fish Reel, Fletcher Walpole, Forever Wrestling, Franklin Everett, Gamerscape, George Valdez, Gilbert Deans, GXA Man, Harley McClure, Hartfeld, Is David. It's gonna be Bloodline Rules. It's Mr. I'm gonna nut in Santi's protein shake. Jack Gilby, Jacob Pena, Jacob Saffel, James Abel, James Brian Belugo, Jassim Alcazar, Javier Arenas, Javier Rodriguez, Jalen Steele, Jeremy C. Moreau, Jesse, Joe Velez, Jolly Green Giant, Jordan Lynch, Joseph Pointer, Juan Verduzco, Judson Daniels, Justin Perkins, Ken Dean, Casaz, Cobb's World, Kuwaiti Rick Boogs, Lil Shifu, Manly Man, Marnie YCSM, Matt Roddy, Matthew Dollar, hey, let me hold a dollar, Meki, Michael Walter, Mike, Muhammad Albanai, that guy's a homie in my chat, Monte Moore, Neb, Nellen Zach, Nicholas Kyle, Page 3, Sancho, Phoenix, Reaper God, Ricky Dutcher, Rocky B, Royce Ruffo, Ryan Fieri, Riley. Sancho is old man yelling at clouds.
What, me?
Yeah, that's what it said. That's the name. He paid, which means it's real. Sancho piensa que la tierra es plana. Want me to translate that for you?
Sure.
Sancho thinks that the earth is flat. Sancho's hat made me nut in Santi's protein shake. Santi, Sancho, Santi. Saudi Rick Books, Scrivo Scott, Seth, Shane, Shawn Michaels right nostril, Silver Football, Sir Nightmare, Slimski, Spicy Nugget, Steven Rhodes, Stone Cold Peach Austin, Stucky, Sugar Shane, Super Malachi Galaxy, Tanisha Jones, The Autistic Chocolate Syndrome, The Final Boss, The Gaming Freak, The Undertaker's son. Did he come from The Undertaker's dong?
Get out, dude. So close.
TM, Tobias Burnett, Tom Lehman, Trent Head, Trexar Gaming, 2 Crown, Tyler Free, Juan Pablo, Wesley Simpson, Zach Griffin, Zergzito, Lord BBNJ. Ladies and gentlemen, those are your $15 producer tier patrons. Thank you very much for watching this episode of the Wrestling is Cool podcast. Thank you so much to the patrons, especially for being patient. We're a little 1 day late on this because of all of the snafus and hiccups, so we're back on schedule.
Where's that referee?
He's trying to